by Torregosa, G2B, Rule 23, Power-driven vessels underway. A power-driven vessels underway shall exhibit a masthead light forward, a second masthead light abaft, off and higher than the forward one, except that a vessels of less than 50 meters in length shall not be obliged to be exhibit such light, but may do so side lights. A stern light. An air cushion vessels when operating in the non-displacement mode shall, in addition to the lights prescribed in paragraph A of this rule, exhibit an all-around flashing yellow light. A wing craft only when the taking off, landing, and in flight near the surface shall, in addition to the lights prescribed in paragraph A of this rule, exhibit in a high intensity all-around flashing red light. A power-driven vessels of less than 12 meters in length may, in lieu of the lights prescribed on end of this rule, exhibit an all-around white light and side lights. A power-driven vessels of less than 7 meters in length whose maximum speed does not exceed 7 knots may, in lieu of the lights prescribed in paragraph A of this rule, exhibit in all-around white lights and shall, if practicable, also exhibits side lights. The masthead light of all-around white light on a power-driven vessels of less than 12 meters in length may be displaced from the fore and aft center line of the vessels if center line fitting is not practicable, provided that the side lights are combined in one lantern, which shall be carried on the fore and aft center line of the vessels or located as nearly as practicable in the same force and aft line as the masthead light of the all-around white light. Rule 24. Towing and pushing a power-driven vessels with towing shall exhibit, instead of the lights prescribed in Rule 23, EI or AII, two masthead lights in a vertical line when the length of the tow measuring from the stern of the towing vessels to the after and end of the tow exists 200 meters. Three such lights in a vertical line. Side lights, a stern light, a towing light in a vertical line above the stern light. When the length of the tow exists 200 meters, a diamond shape where it can be seen when a pushing vessels and a vessels being pushed ahead are rigidly connected in a composite unit. They shall be regarded as a power-driven vessels and exhibit the lights prescribed in Rule 23. A power-driven vessels will pushing ahead of towing alongside, except in the case of a composite unit, shall exhibit, instead of the lights prescribed in the Rule 23A, I, or AII, two masthead lights in a vertical line side lights. A stern light, a power-driven vessels to which paragraph A or C of these rules apply shall also comply with Rule 23 AII. A vessel or object being towed other than those mentioned in a paragraph G of this rule shall exhibit side lights. A stern light, when the length of the two exists 200 meters, a diamond shape where it can best be seen, provided that any number of vessels being towed alongside or pushed in a group shall be light as one vessel. A vessel being pushed ahead, not being part of a composite unit, shall exhibit at the forward end side lights. A vessel being towed alongside shall exhibit a stern light and at the forward end side lights. An inconspicuous party submerged vessel or object or combination of such vessels or objects being towed shall exhibit, if it's at least than 25 meters in breadth, one all around white lights at or near the forward end and one at or near the after end, except that draw cones need not exhibit a light or at or near the forward end if it's 25 meters or more in breadth. Two additional are all around white lights at or near the extremities of its breadth. It exists 100 meters in length, additional all-around white lights between the lights prescribed in subparagraph I and II, so that the distance between the lights shall not exceed 100 meters, a diamond shape at a near the aftermost extremity of the last vessels or objects being towed, and if the length of the tow exceeds 200 meters, an additional diamond shape where it can best be seen and located as far forward as is practicable, where for any sufficient cost it is impracticable for a vessel or object being towed to the exhibit the lights or shapes prescribed in the paragraph E or G of the rule. All possible measures shall be taken to the light vessels or object towed, or at least to indicate the presence of such vessel or object, where from any sufficient cause it is impracticable for a vessel not normally engaged in towing operation to display the lights prescribed in paragraph A or C of this rule. Such vessels shall not be required to exhibit those lights when engaged in towing another vessel in distress or otherwise in needs of assistance. All possible measures shall be taken to indicate the nature of the relationship between the towing vessels and the vessels being towed, as authorized by the Rule 36, in particular by illuminating the tow line. Rule 25. Sailing vessels underway and vessels under oars. A sailing vessels underway shall exhibit side lights, a stern light. In a sailing vessels at least than 20 meters in length, the lights prescribed in paragraph A of this rule may be combined in one lantern carried at or near the top of the mast where it can best be seen. A sailing vessel underway may, in addition to the lights prescribed in paragraph A of this rule, exhibit at or near the top of the mast where they can best be seen two all-around lights and vertical line, the upper being red and the lower a green, but these lights shall not be exhibited in conjunction with the combined lanterns permitted by paragraph B of this rule. A sailing vessel of less than 7 meters in length shall, if practicable, exhibit the lights prescribed in paragraph A or B of this rule, but if she does not, she shall have ready at hand an electric torch or lighting lantern showing a white light, which shall be exhibit in sufficient time to prevent collision. A vessel under oars may exhibit the lights prescribed in this rule for sailing vessels, but if she does not, she shall have ready at the hand an electric torch or lighting lantern showing a white light, which shall be exhibited in sufficient time to prevent collision. A vessel proceeding under sail when also being propelled by machinery shall exhibit forward where it can be best be seen a conical shape apex downwards. Rule 26. Fishing vessels. A vessels engaged in fishing, whether underway or at the anchor, shall exhibit only the lights and the shapes prescribed in this rule. A vessel, when engaged in trawling, by which is meant the dragging through the water of the gee, net, or other apparatus using as a fishing appliance, shall exhibit the two all-around lights in a vertical line, the upper being green and the lower white, or a shape consisting of the two cones with their apexes together in a vertical line, one above to another. A masthead light above of the higher than the all-around grain light, a vessel of less than 50 meters in length, shall not be obligated to exhibit such a light but may do so. When making way through the water, in addition to the lights prescribed in this paragraph, side lights and stern lights, a vessels engaged in fishing other than trolling shall exhibit true all-around lights in a vertical line, the upper being red and the lower white, or the ship consisting of two cones with affixes together in a vertical line, one above to another. When there's outlying gear extending more than 150 meters horizontally from the vessels, and all around white lights or a cone apex upward in the direction of the gear. When making way through the water, in addition to the lights prescribed in this paragraph, side lights and stern lights, the additional signals described in Annex 2 to this regulation apply to a vessels engaged in fishing in close proximity to the other vessels engaged in fishing. A vessel were not engaged in fishing shall not exhibit the lights or shapes prescribed in this rule, but only those prescribed for a vessels of her length. Rule 27. Vessels not under command or restricted in their ability to maneuver. A vessels not under command shall exhibit two all-around red lights in a vertical line where they can best be seen. Two balls or similar shapes in a vertical line where they can best be seen when making way through the water, in addition to the lights prescribed in this paragraph, side lights and stern lights. A vessel restricted in her ability to maneuver except a vessel engaged in main clearance operation shall exhibit three all-around lights in a vertical line where they can be seen. The highest and lowest of these lights shall be red, and the middle light shall be white. Three ships in a vertical line where they can best be seen. The highest and the lowest of these ships shall be bowls, and the middle of one a diamond. Making way through the water, a masthead light or light, side lights, and a stern light, in addition to lights prescribed in subparagraph I, when at anchor, in addition to the lights or shapes prescribed in subparagraph I and II, the lights or shapes prescribed in Rule 30. A power-driven vessels engaged in towing operations such as severely restrict the towing vessels and her two in their ability deviate from their course shall, in addition to the lights or ships prescribed in Rule 24A, exhibit the lights or ships prescribed in subparagraph B, I, and II of this rule. A vessels engaged in dredging or other water operations, when restricted in her ability to maneuver, shall exhibit the lights and shapes prescribed in subparagraphs B, I, and III of this rule, and shall, in addition, when the obstruction exhibits two all-around red lights or two balls in a vertical line to indicate the side on which obstruction exists, two all-around green lights or two diamonds in a vertical line to indicate the sides on which another vessels may pass. When at anchor, the lights or ships prescribed in these paragraphs instead of the lights or ships prescribed in Rule 30. Whenever the size of a vessels engaged in diving operations makes it impracticable to exhibit all lights and ships and prescribed in paragraph D of this rule. The following shall be exhibited: 3 all-around lights in a vertical line where they can be best be seen. The highest and the lowest of these lights shall be red, and the middle light shall be white. A rigid replica of the International Code Flag A not less than 1 meter in height measure shall be taken to ensure its all-around visibility. A vessels engaged in mine clearance operation shall, in addition to the lights prescribed for a power-driven vessels in Rule 23, or to the lights or ships prescribed for a vessels at anchor in Rule 30 as appropriate, exhibit 3 all around green lights or 3 bowls. One of these lights or ships shall be exhibited near the foremast head and one of each end of the foreyard. These lights or ships indicate that it is dangerous for another vessels to approach within 1,000 meters of the mine clearance vessel. Vessels are less than 12 meters in length, except those engaged in the dividing operations, shall not be required to exhibit the lights and ships prescribed in this rule. The signals prescribed in these rules are not signals of vessels in distress and requiring assistance. Such signals are contained in Annex 5 to these regulations.